Without hashtags and digital revolutions back then, he became so popular in the British intellectual and parliamentary circles that he revealed how the Britishers draining wealth out of India. And that he revealed not by giving any statement, but backing it up with facts, data, and analysis. His estimate, India's GDP was about 200 million pounds, but he revealed that the income of each Indian, despite of having so large GDP, was merely 27 to 40 shillings, which was 25 times lower than the average income of the Britisher. Because it happened in the backdrop or background of partition of Bengal and Swadeshi movement. When he presided this session, he was revered and respected by both the moderates and the extremists. He laid down the foundation for the Indian national movement. He's regarded as the father of Indian nationalism. He's also regarded as grand old man of India. But why? He's regarded as the unofficial ambassador of India because he became the voice. 2 centuries ago, in 1825, a man was born in India who dared to tell the Britishers what was un-British in their rule. Without hashtags and digital revolutions back then, he became so popular in the British intellectual and parliamentary circles that he revealed how the Britishers draining wealth out of India. And that he revealed not by giving any statement, but backing it up with facts, data, and analysis. He has many firsts to his credit, from becoming the first Indian to be ever teaching in a college of London, to becoming the partner in the first Indian trading enterprise in London. He was also the first Indian to be elected in the British Parliament. And in India, he was the one who gave the earliest vision of Swaraj in 1906. Dadabhai Naoroji stands tall as a nationalist icon and a mentor to many. So let's understand his 200 years of journey, his contribution, and specifically his contribution in the Indian national movement. So hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the 200th birth anniversary of Dadabhai Naoroji. This topic is very, very important from both prelims and mains perspective. So let's understand how Dadabhai Naoroji broke barriers in the London. So as I have mentioned, that Dadabhai Naoroji was the first Indian to become a part of the Indian trading enterprise in London. He was also the first Indian to be ever teaching in a college of London. He was also the first Indian to have ever laid down the political foundation of becoming a voice of the voiceless in Britain. He was also the first Indian to be elected in the British Parliament. So from prelims and mains perspective, you have to understand the contribution of Dadabhai Naoroji in various fields. So in today's discussion, we are going to understand how his early life or personal life was, what all contributions he did being an educationalist, as a teacher, as a professor, what role did he play as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, as a merchant, how good or tall he was as a politician and a statesman, what reforms did he bring in society, and how he was a good scholar, what all writings did he write, what all newspapers he published. So when we talk about Dadabhai Naoroji, in mains, there are many topics on which the question could be asked. So when we talk about mains examination, there can be a question on the overall contribution of Dadabhai Naoroji in Indian national movement in various aspects, right? Another topic on which the question could be asked would be the economic exploitation did by the Britishers and how this economic exploitation was revealed by Dadabhai Naoroji in the form of drain of wealth theory. In the socio-religious movement topic, there can be an independent question from the perspective of what all did he do for social reforms or reforming Indian society, right? So these aspects are important. When it comes to prelims, there can be objective type questions from different fields. So that's why this topic is important. There have already been questions asked on Dadabhai Naoroji, his economic critique in prelims before, right? So let's do one by one his contribution, his life, and how we have to understand his political vision. So Dadabhai Naoroji was born in 1825 and died in 1917. The most important thing which we need to understand is that being born in a Parsi priest family, he was married off at a very early age of 11 to a lady by the name of Gulbai Shroff. She herself was 7-year-old. He studied in a college of Bombay by the name of Elphinstone School and College. You have to understand that back then, he was one of the few Indians who got the opportunity to be studying in this prestigious college. This college was dominated by the Britishers, and there was this one Indian who was, becoming very popular. Next, what you have to understand is that, he was the one who studied in the college and became the professor in the same college as well. So he was the first Indian professor of mathematics and natural philosophy then. Next, in London, he was also a professor of Gujarati language at a University College London. So this is with respect to his, stint of being an educationist. Because of the experience he gained from studying in prestigious colleges, from becoming a teacher in the prestigious colleges, he could use logical analysis, reason, and use statistics to unveil the, critical role played by the British policies or what they were doing in India. Another dimension which you all need to be aware of is that Dadabhai Naoroji was also a merchant, trader, a business entrepreneur. In 1855, he traveled to London to becoming a partner to the first Indian trading company by the name of Kama and Company. It was set up at Liverpool and it became the first Indian company there. Due to some internal differences, he resigned from the company and set up his own cotton trading company in 1859 by the name of Dadabhai Naoroji and Company. This was a very path-breaking step that was taken by any Indian back then. What about his political contribution in India as well as in Britain? So he was the first Indian to be ever elected in the British Parliament. Back then, he witnessed many, roles. He experienced many roles. He experienced many debates and discussions. And using that, he exposed the true nature of the British policies in London, what they were doing in India, right? So this is again very important. Not only this, he also set up many organizations in London. So for example, in 1865, an Indian organization by the name of London Indian Society under the leadership of Dadabhai Naoroji and W.C. Banerjee was set up. What was its objective? Its objective was to promote the rising Indian social and political aspirations in India, in England. He also ensured that through these organizations, the voices of the voiceless back in India are being heard in London. So this organization or society raised the profile or image of India in the British parliamentarian and intellectual circles. He also set up in 1866 an association by the name of East India Association, and he became its secretary. Its objective was to again put the Indian point of view across the British public or British parliamentarians. This East Indian Association very soon got the support of eminent Englishmen and was able to exercise considerable influence in the British Parliament. This organization soon opened many branches apart from being in London, in Mumbai, Kolkata and Chennai. This same organization became instrumental in counteracting the propaganda popularized by an organization with the name Ethnological Society of London, which tried to, color the opinion of the Britishers that India or Asians are inferior to the Europeans. So this East India Association played a very important role in, changing the public opinion about India in London. The most notable contribution which he did in 1867 was by exposing the British economic policies in India. And that he did by giving a theory with the name drain of wealth theory. What was this drain of wealth theory? It simply means that through this theory, Dadabhai Naoroji revealed that there is a drain whose inlet is in India, and this drain outlet is in London. What was being drained from India to London becomes the most critical aspect of this theory. So let's understand what was in part of drain of wealth theory given by Dadabhai Naoroji. The most important thing he revealed through his drain of wealth theory was how much money was being drained by the Britishers from India. And that he revealed through the substantiation of statistics, by giving evidences, by giving facts. So Dadabhai Naoroji managed to expand his stature to make the Britishers convinced through data, statistics, that how, they were draining the wealth from India. He managed to tell the Britishers by giving statistics that Britishers were able to take away at least $33 million each year from India. Not only this, he also told that until 1867, the Britishers had resulted in the transfer of 1.6 billion pounds of Indian wealth. In 1871, according to his estimate, India's GDP was about 200 million pounds, but he revealed that the income of each Indian, despite of having so large GDP, was merely 27 to 40 shillings, which was 25 times lower than the average income of the Britisher. So this is what was revealed by Dadabhai Naoroji that stirred or created a public opinion in the British Parliament. What were the factors he, revealed that led to the draining of wealth by the Britishers from India? So there were many reasons he gave for this economic drain to happen. The first reason was the foreign governance. Because the Britishers were foreigners, the kind of governance they exhibited, the kind of governance they, implemented, their interests laid not in India, but back in London. So they were the ones who were preventing the welfare or the self-government in India. Because unlike other colonies, India did not attract many immigrants from different nations, because India itself was home to large number of population which were taken or migrated for jobs or work. Next, India paid for the administrative cost of Britain, what they were doing in India. That means whatever the Britishers were, had to bear for the expenses of Indian army, to administer, they were all coming from the Indian revenues. Even the empire building burden was borne by the Indian revenues. There was discrimination being done from the Britishers to the Indians in job opportunities. Indians were not given sufficient job opportunities or growth which any Britisher or European could get back then in India. So these were few of the reasons why the Britishers drained money, or how they drained money, what was the intent, and what it led to when they were, transporting money from India to London. Another element which is very, very important part of his theory was what were the constituents of this economic drain, right? So a large part of Indians' wealth was drained in the form of salaries and pensions of British civil and military officials working in India. Another component through which the money was getting drained was the interest on loans that were taken by the British government to run Indian administration and build infrastructure, specifically the railways. Profits of British capitalists in India were also paid from the Indian revenue. In fact, the investors who were doing investment in railways were given guaranteed interest or profit of 5% that was again given from the Indian revenue. There was another special component in his economic drain theory by the name of home charges, which is important from the prelims perspective, right? So what were those home charges? Home charges were basically the expenditure borne by the Indian government sitting in London, to run the administration, right? So these were the expenditure incurred in England to run an administration in India, right? So during 1921-22, in fact, the home charges increased to 40% of the total revenue of the central government in India. What were the constituents of this home charges? The dividends which were paid to the shareholders of the East India Company were part of this home charge. However, this got discontinued in 1874. Interest on the public debt raised abroad was also paid from the Indian revenue, right? The civil and the military charges, the purchases which the British government did to maintain India. So for example, the office establishment in London, payments to the British War Office, pensions of British officers in the military and civil departments. Next component of, economic drain was, or home charges in specific context, was the store purchases that were done by the British government in London. So for example, the stationery, the arms and ammunitions, the things required to maintain marine department, all of this was paid from Indian revenues, right? Now, because of the revelation done by Dadabhai Naoroji about the drain theory of wealth, that led lot of eyes raised in the British parliamentary circle. A pressure was created that the British government had to come up and set up a commission of inquiry to look into this theory. So there was this commission by the name of Royal Commission on the Administration of Expenditure of India, popularly known as Welby Commission, was set up in May 1895. There were total 14 members in the commission. 11 were the official members, and 3 members were Dadabhai Naoroji, William Wedderburn, and W.S. Kane. Now these 3 together put lot of pressure to publish the report which was favoring the Indian concerns, right? Another important prelims fact which you can keep in mind when you are preparing this Welby Commission is that this commission was not scheduled to visit India, right? So from India, Gopal Krishna Gokhale was sent as the representative in place of M.G. Ranade. Another thing which you can keep in mind, for prelims specifically, is that the report that got published in 1900 by Welby Commission showed a number of cases where the Britishers were, taking money out of India, right? It is claimed that the commission improved the economic condition of India by reducing the excessive expenditure, but still, Dadabhai Naoroji, Wedderburn and Kane did not like the proceedings and the final report of the Welby Commission. So in response to the reaction towards the final report, they came up with their own version of report separately, and that was known as minority report. This is a very important fact that could be asked in prelims, right? So this minority report became a very important source of information on Indian finances and general administration. What was revealed as part of his Drain of Wealth was finally published in 1901 in the book by the name of Poverty and Un-British Rule in India that was written by Dadabhai Naoroji. What was un-British in the title given by Dadabhai Naoroji to this book? The un-British nature was that the British rule did not reflect their own liberal and moral values which the Britain herself professed at that point of time. It was not able to give the same values in the India. Similarly, there was another claim given by Dadabhai Naoroji that while Britain claimed that their purpose or their objective is to promote freedom, prosperity and fair administration, but its policies in India, on the other hand, displayed or caused poverty, exploitation and economic drain. So what they were upholding, they were not able to reflect or maintain or give the same to the India or Indians at that point of time. In 1874, as part of his political career, he was also appointed as the Diwan of the Maharaja of Baroda. Diwan is also a position which can be considered as a prime minister for a princely state. So Baroda was a princely state back then, and he was appointed as the Diwan in Baroda. But on account of his differences between Maharaja of Baroda and the resident who was appointed, the British resident who was appointed, he resigned. In July 1875, he became or he elected to the Bombay Municipal Corporation. He also enjoyed a portfolio, or he was appointed in the town council or the finance committee of the corporation. In the same year, he was also appointed, not in the same year, after 8 years, he was appointed as Justice of Peace. He was also later elected to the Bombay Municipal Corporation for the second time. Right? So in Bombay, his legislative career could be noted, right? Another, political contribution he did before he formally established himself in the Indian national movement, he also fought for the civil work and the public welfare that needed to be adopted in Bombay Presidency. In 1885, when the Bombay Presidency Association came into being, he was elected as one of its vice presidents. In 1885 August, he joined the Bombay Legislative Council on the invitation of the Governor of Bombay, Lord Ray. So I hope this is giving you a very comprehensive idea that, when we talk about the legislative career of Dadabhai Naoroji in his own presidency, he had managed to do a lot of constructive works. He was able to reveal to the Britishers how the policies should be made for the citizens of Bombay, right? Now, coming to understand the most important role he played in the Indian national movement by being one of the founding members of the All India political organization, that is Indian National Congress. I don't know how many of you know this, that Indian National Congress in fact got its name because of Dadabhai Naoroji. So Indian National Congress was, led to the establishment because of the efforts taken by A.O. Hume. So A.O. Hume had named this organization earlier as Indian National Union. But on the suggestion given by Dadabhai Naoroji, its name got changed to Indian National Congress in 1885, right? He was one of the founding members of this organization, and not only this, not only once, twice, but thrice, he was elected as one of the presidents of Indian National Congress. So this again becomes very important from Prelims point of view. In 1886, he became the second president of the Indian National Congress. Its session happened in Calcutta. This session again is significant. Then in 1893, he presided the INC session at Lahore. And the most important session of his political and nationalist career was when he became the president of the Calcutta session of Indian National Congress in 1906. So let's understand what all contribution he did by becoming one of the nationalist icons of the Indian national movement. The 1886 Indian National Congress session is significant because it saw the merger of National Conference and INC together. National Conference was an organization or a conference convened by Surendranath Banerjee, right? So it led to the merging of two important conferences or organization of those time. This gave the Congress movement as a first truly national character. It also strengthened the Congress nationalist movement by establishing a single cohesive organization that could speak for great authority on behalf of the Indians across regional boundaries. Dadabhai Naoroji believed in moderate methods. The moderates believed in 3P method, that is protest, prayer, and peaceful agitation, right? So this method which he adopted, he backed it up with statistics, great authority, wit, and conviction to speak in front of the British parliamentarians as well as in India. So this, methodology adopted by the moderates also is an important topic from your mains point of view, right? So do remember this 3P method, which became the backbone as well as a point of criticism by extremist and revolutionary nationalists in the moderate ideology. So 3P method includes prayer, that is pleading before the British government, sending petitions or memorandums to British Parliament or British Governor in London. Then peaceful protest becomes an important part or strategy or tool in the moderate ideology. So what was this moderate ideology? Moderates usually believe that British rule was just and fair. But Dadabhai Naoroji said this with a twist. Although he did not criticize extremely that we do not require the British rule completely till 1906, but he showed a mirror to the Britishers that their rule or certain policies are exploitative for Indians, right? So this is what you have to understand. As we proceed in understanding the other significant INC session which changed the dynamics of the Indian national movement was when Dadabhai Naoroji presided the 1906 Calcutta session. This Calcutta session of 1906 is important because it happened in the backdrop or background of partition of Bengal and Swadeshi movement. When he presided this session, he was revered and respected by both the moderates and the extremists. He laid down the foundation for the Indian national movement. In this session, 4 resolutions were adopted. As part of Swadeshi movement. What were those 4 resolutions? Resolution of boycott, Swadeshi, national education, and Swaraj. Boycott of British goods, colleges, schools, emphasizing on Swadeshi, that is indigenous strength, self-reliance, opening up of national education or giving opportunity to the Indians to study in Indian schools, right? And most importantly, in this session, Dadabhai Naoroji defined or gave the earliest version of Swaraj, which in the future struggles became Poon Swaraj. So how did and in what way Dadabhai Naoroji defined Swaraj in the 1906 Calcutta session? He says, just as the administration of UK in all services, departments and details was in the hands of the people of that country, so should it be in India. As in the UK and the colonies, all taxation and legislation and all power of spending the taxes were in the hands of the representatives of the people, so should it be in India. And the financial relations between England and India must be adjusted on a footing of equality. We do not ask for any favors. We want only justice. Instead of going into any further divisions or details of our rights as British citizens, the whole matter can be concised or defined in one word, that is self-government or Swaraj. So this was the call given by Dadabhai Naoroji in 1906 Calcutta session. Swaraj, self-rule, but as dominion status within the empire. This is not to be confused with Poon Swaraj, that is complete independence. In 1906, the earliest vision of Swaraj in the form of self-rule, in the form of dominion status within the empire was raised. Now coming to understand more specific details about his political contribution in the Indian national movement. So Dadabhai Naoroji visited England in 1886 to ventilate the grievances of Indian people in the British Parliament. Dadabhai's notable role in the British Parliament during his brief stint from 1892 to 95 was talked about in great length. At that point of time, even George Hamilton, who was the Secretary of State then, informed the Viceroy in 1897, at that point of time Viceroy of India was Lord Elgin, about the activities of Dadabhai Naoroji, how he was fearless, how he through fierceful advocacy could shake the British parliamentary circles and enlighten them about the voices of Indians in London. So this is again a very important role. In his stint in London from 1892 to 95, he became the first Indian to be elected in the British Parliament. So Dadabhai Naoroji in 1892 stood as a candidate of Liberal Party for the constituency of Central Finsbury in London. He was successfully elected and joined the Gladstone's government then. Do you know that during his campaign, while he was electing for, or when he was a candidate for MP in London, he was helped by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was studying law in London then. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was also influenced by Dadabhai Naoroji and his, style of campaigning for India or India's concern in London. Another important aspect is that he was elected as an Indian parliamentarian, in London, but he could not win the next election. So in 1895, when conservative power came back to, in the British political circle, he lost the election, right? And Lord Salisbury mocked him as a black man unfit. Do you know that when he got elected in the British Parliament for the first time, he managed to secure very few votes. And because of he getting very few votes, he was also, regarded as the majority leader. So when he was, he used to take part in, parliamentarian proceedings, he was addressed in sarcasm as majority leader, right? 1893, again a very important contribution was made by Dadabhai Naoroji in the form of setting up of Indian Parliamentary Committee. This committee, along with Dadabhai Naoroji, had other members as well, like W.S. Kane, who was a British parliamentarian, William Wedderburn. So you can comment on in your videos, and also note that William Wedderburn has also been elected as the president of INC, not only once but twice. So what are those sessions in which he presided as the INC president? So this is again an important information from Prelims point of view, which you all have to know and find out. And obviously Dadabhai Naoroji played an instrumental role in bringing William Wedderburn and W.S. Kane and setting up of Indian Parliamentary Committee. Now this committee's objective was to highlight the concerns, the demands, or the issues faced by the Indians, and making the public opinion or creating a public opinion back in London. And do you know that this committee, 1893 Indian Parliamentary Committee, was also asked in UPSC Prelims in 2011, right? So just see what kind of question was asked way back in 2011, that is 14 years before, right? So this topic, as I was telling you, is very, very important, not only from mains perspective, but also prelims. So there was this question asked by UPSC in 2011 prelims: what was the purpose with which Sir William Wedderburn and W.S. Kane had set up the Indian Parliamentary Committee in 1893? To agitate for Indian political reforms in the House of Commons, right? What kind of reforms were agitated or demanded? From giving them opportunities in civil services, to providing them more freedom of speech and expression in India, right? Highlighting better and efficient revenue or taxation policies. So all of these and many more were highlighted through the Indian Parliamentary Committee in London, right? Now, another role, important role, which Dadabhai Naoroji played was in the social reforms. He was not only a good educationist, he was not only a good statesman or politician, but he was also a very aware social reformer. He not only tried to bring social reforms in the overall Indian society, but he also did a lot of constructive work to uplift the Parsi community. As you all know, that he was born in a Parsi priest family. He was a Parsi priest himself as well, right? In 1848, he set up Students' Literary and Scientific Society. This society was set up by entrepreneurs and individuals of Bombay, along with Dadabhai Naoroji, like Naoroji Furdunji, Bal Shastri Jambekar, Jagannath Shankar Seth, to basically do lot of reforms in Parsi community, right? Another organization which did work for the upliftment of Parsi community, bring in more social reforms in Parsi community, to take back any superstitious ideology, afflicting the Parsis at that point of time, doing lot of work and promote women education, right? This Rehnumai Mazda-e Sabha played a very key role. It was set up in 1851 by a small group of educated Parsis, including Dadabhai Naoroji, J.B. Vacha, S.S. Bengali and Naoroji Fardunji, and they received the funding from K.N. Kama. Its main objective was to restore the Zoroastrian religion to its original purity, right? So a lot of progressive ideas made part of this organization. This organization also had its own weekly newspaper, fortnightly publication by the name of Rast Goftar. It's translated in English as the Truth Teller. Again, the objective of this fortnightly publication was to clarify the Parsian concepts and promote Parsi social reforms in Western India specifically, right? There was another organization which was doing work of social reforms and upliftment in London for the Parsi community. It was set up in 1861 by the name of the Zoroastrian Trust Funds of Europe, which was a religious, cultural, and social organization for Zoroastrians residing in Europe, particularly UK. It was founded in 1861 by Muncharji Hormuzji Kama and Dadabhai Naoroji together, right? So this was with respect to the social reforms he did, along with other Parsi reformers, individuals, entrepreneurs of Bombay, which could be reflected both in London as well as in India. Now, coming to understand what all contribution, what all writings he did, what all articles he published, books he released, which caught the attention of the people as well as Britishers. So as we have done that, there was this Rast Goftar, which was an Anglo-Gujarati paper operating in Bombay, started by Dadabhai Naoroji, right, of Rehnumai Mazda-e Sabha, again is one of the contribution in literary terms about Dadabhai Naoroji. Another example which you can give if a separate question is asked about his literary contribution, that for the Parsis, apart from Rast Goftar, he also published a paper by the name of The Manners and Customs of the Parsis, right? So these two are with respect to Parsi upliftment, socio-religious reforms. Contribution in press and literary works to create public opinion. So in 1875, he published a pamphlet by the name of Poverty of India, which got later revised and enlarged in his book in 1901, which was known as Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, which revealed how the Britishers drained wealth out of India. In 1883, he also started Voice of India, in Bombay, along with Behramji Malabari, William Wedderburn, which was, operating since 1883. He later incorporated this Voice of India into the Indian Spectator, right? Another contribution which you could note is that he had written many books like The European and Asiatic Races, Admission of Educated Natives into the Indian Civil Service, The Wants and Means of India, Condition of India. So these are all very important books. Most importantly, the European and the Asiatic races, right? Now, coming specifically about his contribution in Indian freedom struggle. So Dadabhai Naoroji is given a lot of adjectives, right? He's regarded as the unofficial ambassador of India. He's regarded as the father of Indian nationalism. He's also regarded as grand old man of India. But why? He's regarded as the unofficial ambassador of India because he became the voice. He represented the Indian cause. He represented the Indian concern in London before the formal establishment of All India Congress. He is regarded as the father of Indian nationalism because he not only raised the concerns and demands of the Indians, he also gave the earliest vision of Swaraj way back in 1906. Why is he regarded as the grand old man of India? Because of his wisdom, of his education, and his political ideology. He inspired many leaders like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Mahatma Gandhi, etc. So this is with respect to his contribution in freedom struggle. If you put it, Bal Gangadhar Tilak has mentioned about the important role played by Dadabhai Naoroji. He mentioned that if we 20 crore of Indians were entitled to send only one member to the British Parliament, there is no doubt that we would have elected Dadabhai Naoroji unanimously to grace that post. Even Mahatma Gandhi said, the Indians look up to you as children to the father. Such feeling is rarely the feeling here. Such is really the feeling here, right? So this was described or description given by Mahatma Gandhi about Dadabhai Naoroji. Not only this, he is also remembered and respected in Britain. There is this historical site which commemorates and remembers when Dadabhai Naoroji was elected or was the first Asian to be elected in the British Parliament, right? Also, there have been awards given by the name of Dadabhai Naoroji Award, and Nick Clegg announced these awards for the first time. These awards are given to recognize those who have helped to build UK-India relations, right? So these awards became part of 2010 to 2015 Conservative and Liberal Democrat coalition government when Nick Clegg was the PM. So this is with respect to, the contribution, the role played by Dadabhai Naoroji. So I hope this discussion would help many students in compiling notes and understanding from both prelims and mains point of view if a topic comes or if a question comes on the role and the importance of Dadabhai Naoroji in Indian national movement. So all the best, guys. Have a nice day.